Megamaniacs, this is Mr. MegaManFan. Like, share, comment, subscribe. You know all the things to do. Now, of late, there's been some discussion about the fact that the Turbo EverDrive Pro does not work in the Analogue Duo. You cannot put it in under any circumstances. However, an original Turbo EverDrive might work. And I had a wacky idea. See, I have this device. It's called the PC Engine Region Converter, and what it does is converts TurboGrafx 16 cards into PC Engine cards so you can play them on an original PC engine. You may already see where I'm going with this. See, the Analogue Duo is region free. It automatically detects whatever region your Hue card is and accepts it, whether it's Japanese or North American. So I thought, if I can just put the Turbo EverDrive into the PC Engine adapter and use the TurboGrafx setting on it, then it will convert it to PC Engine and the Analogue Duo will automatically detect it and it will work, theoretically. Now, obviously, this doesn't help you if you have a Turbo EverDrive Pro, but why not give this a shot? It looks like an ungodly beast sticking out of the front of the Analogue Duo, but it doesn't need to look good as long as it's not warping the actual cartridge slot, and it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be holding firm and steady because the board that the PC Engine Region adapter is made out of is good quality. After a little finagling to make sure all my connections were tight, the Turbo EverDrive was firmly inside the PC Engine, and the PC Engine was firmly inside the Analogue Duo. I was ready to give this a shot. I synced up a PlayStation 5 controller for the purpose of this test, and I hit the run button, and what do we have? A bootloader error, D3. SD input-output error. Well, that seems to negate the idea that it'll just automatically detect it and pass it on through to the Analogue Duo. And I thought, well, maybe my connections just weren't that tight. So I got up and reseated everything. I reseated the Turbo EverDrive in the PC Engine, the PC Engine in the Analogue Duo, and I made sure that the switch was set to TurboGrafx and not PC Engine, so that I was passing through TurboGrafx to convert it to PC Engine. Once again, I sat down and I picked up the PS5 controller and nothing. We have the same bootloader error. I don't think the Turbo EverDrive was designed to be passed through one device to another device in this way, so I can't really fault the PC Engine or the Turbo EverDrive. However, the thought did occur to me that the SD card in my Turbo EverDrive might be corrupt, so I had to test for this theory as well. Fortunately for me, I have a TurboGrafx 16 set up right next to my Analogue Duo, and it has a Turbo EverDrive Pro in it. Of course, better safe than sorry, I should turn on the TurboGrafx 16 with the Turbo EverDrive Pro in it just to make sure the TurboGrafx itself is working, or we're getting nowhere in a hurry. Thankfully, the Turbo EverDrive Pro and the TurboGrafx are working as expected, so now I can pop out the Pro Edition, put in the standard Turbo EverDrive Edition, and make sure that none of this is an issue with my SD cards or the devices themselves. We can just rule all of that out and just conclude definitively that the Analogue Duo will not accept this bootleg process that I'm trying to do. So, for the record, one last test. The original Turbo EverDrive in TurboGrafx mode, not PC Engine mode, being slotted into a TurboGrafx 16. We flip the power switch, and here we have the custom menu that was released for the Turbo EverDrive, specifically to make it more readable on a Turbo Express because of the small screen and the way the resolution is formatted for that device. Even with a replacement screen, it's still kind of hard to see, so you need something this clear when you're using it on a smaller device. On this big 32-inch Sharp television, it's really not that necessary, but I didn't bother to switch it back to the original menu. I like this color scheme and this font just fine, so I left it the way it is. Now, of course, we need to just boot a game and make sure that everything else is copacetic as far as the TurboGrafx and the Turbo EverDrive goes. I mean, It's one thing to put it in and turn it on. It's another thing to play a game, because if I was going to play a game with it on the Analogue Duo, I was going to play a game with it on anything else anyway. So let's just go ahead and pick a game, something that I've already featured before on the PC Engine files. This is Bomberman 93 Special. This was never released commercially. It was only for a competition, and a limited number of cue cards were made for that competition, and very few of them got into collectors' hands. So few, in fact, that price charting doesn't even bother to list a price for it if you go and look for it right now. It is that hard to find. And I don't even think it's really necessary for anybody to find it, because you could spend $1,000 for a game that is only meant to be played in multiplayer mode anyway. There is no one player on Bomberman 93 Special. So this idea was a failure, but as Adam Savage used to say on Mythbusters, failure is always an option. At least we've learned that you can't use a PC Henshin to pass a Turbo EverDrive through to an Analogue Duo.